We're going to try some tips for solving using trig ratios. We're going to be solving for sides here. And just first we have to know that when you're using trig ratios, you're going to be using one of two things, either degrees or radians. We will be using degrees in our geometry class. So let's just check out a little experiment. If I'm looking at this 30 degrees here, I'm going to label this triangle with an OA and an H for the 30. So if I go straight out, I am going to have, here's my O side, this will be A then, and this is H. Now I've written down below our trig ratios so that we can use them. So if you remember, sine is O over H, and cosine is A over H, and tangent is O over A. Now, if we want to find the sine of 30 degrees, the sine of 30 degrees should equal, sine theta is 30, equals opposite 1 over hypotenuse 2. So sine 30 should equal 1/2. Plug that into your calculator for a moment and hit pause and see what you get. Now, if you got negative 0.988, that is way, way wrong. You are in radians, and that is how your calculator is set. That's the default from the factory. So here's how we can fix this situation. If you go 30 and see what you get. Now, for solving. I've taken the steps to label our sides with an X and a Y. We're going to find the measures of both of these sides, and we're going to round it to the nearest 10th place. And what we're going to do is, when X is in the numerator, it will be a multiplication problem. And you'll see what I mean by this. Step one in solving any trig ratio is, what do you have, 8 or A, and what do you need, O? So, which of these trig ratios above is O and A? That would be tangent. So we're going to use that trig ratio. We're going to plug in everything we know. So we're going to write tangent theta is 50 equals opposite X over adjacent 8. Now, X is in the numerator, and like I said, that means this is a multiplication problem. But if you forget that, now remember, the trig ratio is always going to go second. You're either going to multiply by the trig ratio or you're going to divide by it. But you can always just write it as a proportion and cross multiply. So we're going to get 1 times X is X, and we're going to get tangent 50 times 8. You always write the number in front. Like I said, the trig ratio is always second. So 8 times tangent 50. And you can plug that into your calculator without hitting the multiplication symbol. Just do 8 tan 50. And when we do that, we're going to get that X is equal to 9.53 and a whole mess of stuff. So if we round this to the 10th place, this is going to be 9.5. Now, because this is a rounded off number, do not use it to find Y. So we're going to change this so that when Y is in the denominator, what do? Well, again, how do you know which trig ratio to use? We're going to look at what do we have and what do we need. So we have A and we need H this time. So A and H is going to be cosine. So this is going to be a division problem. We're going to do cosine of theta, which is 50, equals adjacent 8 over hypotenuse y. When you're down in the denominator, it's a division problem. I'm going to multiply this out the long way once, but I choose to memorize that when you have this situation, these two are going to switch places so that you're going to get 8 divided by cosine 50. But let's multiply it out. We're going to do 1 times 8 is 8. Cosine 50 times y will be y cosine 50. And now to get y all alone, we have to ditch the cosine 50 by dividing. And we get exactly what I said in the beginning. So when we plug this into our calculator, 8 divided by cosine 50, we should get 12.44. And a whole bunch of other numbers behind it. But if we're rounding to the 10th place, that's just going to make it 12.4. here, let's take a look at this. We're going to find here are our trig buttons right in this section. But we're going to use this mode button. If you click the mode button, you're going to be seeing three things. You'll see like normal, float, and then the third thing down will say radian. You need to use these keys here, the arrow keys. You need to scroll down and then you need to scroll over to where it says degrees. And once you have that highlighted, just hit the enter button and you will be in business. It'll be in degrees. Try it again, hit sign.